Taucho. Love it up here. This place is stunning. It's just a nice place to come out on the bike and get up. I wanted to get out and just clear my head a little bit, and I didn't know where to go because I don't always want to go into town, what you class as town, Las Americas, Los Cristianos. Sometimes you just fancy getting elsewhere and just getting some fresh air, and Taucho is a great ride up. It's beautiful, and the Calima's in, so you can't really see much today. The sea, the Gomera's disappeared, but you can hear for miles because it's just like nothing's going on up here. Sometimes you just got to roll with it, you know. You just got to roll with it. We had a day off yesterday, and he gave me the opportunity to get the car finally into the body shop to get it repaired. It was booked in because somebody hit us in September, and the damage is going to get repaired today. I think it needs a new back bumper. That's going to go on it anyway. And I get a text today from them, and even though it's an English body shop, they've got Spanish people working. I think he's given his phone to the Spanish receptionist because the text WhatsApp message, they love a WhatsApp over here, isn't very clear. And he says, please don't forget you need to pay the €200. I can't remember what the word was, but in essence what they meant was the excess from the insurance company. And I went, well, hang on a minute. I said, it's not going through my insurance company, it's going through theirs because they're the one that hit me, so I don't have to pay it. Well, we've just got on our notes that that's what it is, and you have to take it up with the insurance company. And this is over breakfast this morning. It's like, oh my God, what a start to a day. But eventually it's just like, over here, that's what happens in Tenerife. You've just got to, that's what happens over here anyway. You've just got to roll with it, and you've just got to go, okay, get it fixed, otherwise you're not going to get your car back, and you need the car, otherwise you're not going to be able to work, and you need to work. So I've rolled with it, and I'll hopefully pick up the car up tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get it be sorted so I can get it tomorrow, and I'll have to pay 200 quid for the privilege of somebody hitting me, and then try and fight with the insurance company to get it back through the other side. But you know, as I said, you've just sometimes just got to roll with it. The second one happened yesterday, and another roll with it, which was just incredible, really. We have to move house. People on our complex are aware that we have to move house, and there are people that are helping try and find a place on the complex itself, which is really nice. Unfortunately, if you've watched the main channel, you might have known that 3 possibilities might be coming available due to deaths, unfortunately, but that is the way it rolls at the moment in Tenerife. One certain one was 4 doors down from us, where it was a German husband and wife, Mario and his missus, and she actually fell off a cliff last week here in Callao whilst taking a selfie. That's the rumour. And she died. She died falling off a cliff. So he's gone back to Germany, and he left the keys with the president's wife, or the ex-president's wife, who lives next door. So I spoke with Mario, got his phone number, just in case he was coming back or not coming back, at least we'd know. And I said to him, he said the keys are with the next door neighbour. I went, right, okay, no problem, which is the ex-president's wife. So I saw the ex-president's wife yesterday, and I said to her, oh hi, how are you? And I'm just like, I did an errand for her a couple of months back. I had to go and get a parcel for her because she couldn't get down all the steps, and she couldn't get this parcel, so I lifted it and carried it, lumped it all up the stairs. So that's how I know, and no further. And I said, oh hi, how are you doing? I said, rumour has it next door Mario's not coming back, which means the apartment will be available. And then literally matter of factly, she just turned around and she went, yeah, I'm going to rent that out to a friend of mine. That's getting rented to a friend of mine. She was like, bush, just shut the door on that one. I went, all right. I said, because the owners of ours are actually splitting up. She went, yeah. She says, I've also got a buyer for yours as well. I'm like, Jesus, matter of fact is unreal. I literally went, in my head I went, well, that's us man, for this place. That's us done. But you've just got to roll with it. What else can you do? You've just got to roll with it. And it's like, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. Some things you can fight a system, and some things you can't. You've got to know which ones you can fight and which ones you can't. And in this instance, we can't. So anyway, we've got a place that we're going to look at in Shiofa. which is the village above Los Cristianos. €8 in a taxi, which isn't too bad. So if we decide to have a weekend out or a night out, we can come back in a taxi. And it turns out that we know a lot more people up there anyway, so fingers crossed for that. But they are few and far between. The property game over here is an absolute lottery. Your last chance scenario really is when you start looking on the websites and you start getting finders fees and those contract fees. It's just like people just skimming off the top like insects on top of a hippopotamus really. So we don't want to do that. We just want to find a place that'll be. I don't think this place is going to be suited perfectly, but it'll be close enough at the moment. But we're not going to be able to view it till March. So we just got to roll with it. I think you've got to know when to pick your fights. I think that's one of them. Just you've got to know when to pick your fights. And I think in this instance, it isn't a time to pick a fight on this one. So, but no doubt, if the channel still goes, you'll be informed. You'll know what the crack is. You'll know what's going on, and you'll know what happens from there. The second part to this vlog is more a story again in the car trade. It just came up the other day. I just when you think, because I thought about the last story, I thought what other stories do I know from the car industry? And this one is a fantastic story of embezzlement, believe it or not. Embezzlement, where the company got embezzled by £2.4 million pounds. It's like, when is it enough? When is it enough? I was working, the first time I came across this lad, I was working at Falkirk. I was working at Evans Hall, Falkirk, Vauxhall, and I was running the site. They'd just got rid of the general manager because of the new car performance wasn't good enough, and they brought me in his place. And we turned the new car performance around. We went from selling like 2 new cars one month to like 32 the following month. And the Vauxhall rep was like, "How's that happened?" And I said, "Well, you put them on display and start selling them." But anyway, I was working up there. I did a 6-month stint at Falkirk and absolutely loved it. Beautiful place, beautiful people, really nice. And I got this lad working with me who became the new car sales manager. And one day I turned up on site, and as I'm on site, I pulled into the car park, and there was a black Range Rover Overfinch parked there. And I'm like, well, no, we don't sell them and we don't repair them. I'm like, what is that? Whose is that? And you just think to yourself, it must be somebody else, or buying a second car, for the wife or the daughter, for the kids or whatever, and it's just a customer. But the Overfinch, if you know what an Overfinch is, that's the brand that you get when you buy a Range Rover. You then send it off to Overfinch, or when you're buying an elite car, you send it off to Overfinch to get spec'd up, so it becomes personalised even more. All the footballers do it and stuff like that. So that's why it always caught my attention, Overfinch. So that was on day one, or this day. I went back to work the following day, and the car's there again in the car park, and I'm like, well, whose is that car then? Because normally if a customer comes and buys a car, they buy one, and that's it, they're away. So I thought, who is that? So I started going around the dealership and asking whose the car was. And somebody went, oh, it's the assistant accountant. No, it's the accountant come up from the northeast. They've come to train up the new accountant that we've got. I went, oh, okay. So I went up into accounts, and I went to the accounts office, and there in the office was this 22-year-old lad, this nondescript person, just sat there behind the computer doing his work. And I just looked at him and went, is that your car? And he's like, aye. 22, young lad. I went, nice car. And he went, oh, thank you very much. Nothing about him, nothing, just that was it. I walked away and I thought, Christ almighty, you got some money to have one of them, like. I mean, the Range Rover itself must be 80 grand, and then overfinching it, what, about another 20 grand on top? I don't know. But it's a lot of money. So that was the first time I ever came across this guy. About a year later, I've been asked to go over to Ardrossan, of all places, this little dealership, Evans Hall Ardrossan, to go and run that. The general manager is ill, gravely ill, and he's got to go through cancer treatment. So I've been asked to look after that. So I went, I used to go over on a Monday, come back on a Friday, and it was around the Christmas period. And I sent a text message, or a picture message, to a friend of mine who was the general manager at Middlesbrough Vauxhall at the time. I went, my view, and it was the snow-capped mountains of Ayrshire. And he sent me back a picture of him in a car park in Sainsbury's, going, my view, and he's there shopping with the kids. And this is a couple of days before Christmas. I didn't think much of it. And then I got back to the northeast for Christmas, and it turns out that he'd been put on gardening leave, the general manager of Middlesbrough Vauxhall. And I'm like, what's happened there? So I called him. He's like, yeah, I can't really talk too much about it. I went, no problem at all. So I turned up to my local Evans Wholesale dealership, and the regional accountant's in there. And it turns out that the young lad that I'd met at Falkirk was the assistant accountant at Middlesbrough Vauxhall, and that's where he was. And he'd been embezzling the company for 2.4 million over the space of a couple of years. So he'd bought himself like a copy laptop. He'd just like company emails, faked company emails, faked company transactions to the level of 2.4 million. And what happened was, one day, the program system we used to use for all the bookkeeping and for all the actually it's just the main program really. If you went in anywhere in the bookkeepings on one line, you're not allowed to go in on another line until you come back out of that line, electronically speaking, and then you can go in on another line. So he'd gone in on a line and he'd got called away from his desk. So he'd gone in on his fake line and he got called away from his desk, and as the accountant came in, the actual accountant trying to go in on the line, she couldn't go in on a different line. She realised he'd gone in on a line, so she went into his line to close it. And then, can you imagine, this is where she found all the stuff, and it was like Alice down a rabbit hole, isn't it? You know, it's like, how far down that rabbit hole do you go? And she went all the way down, and she knew straight away this was big. Next thing you know, fraud squad turns up, the police, and he's being led out there by handcuffs. And this was him at the age of 22, 23. And it turns out, when they start looking, he'd actually done them for 2.47 million. And he got 6 years. He got 6 years imprisonment for it. Bought houses for his family. Told all his family he'd won it on gambling. I think he also told his family he got shares in Apple as well. That's what I can remember. And the reason why I know this is because Ardrossan was a dealership with 36 cars on the forecourt. Middlesbrough was a dealership with 180 cars on the forecourt. So that Christmas, I said to my boss was actually in Australia, the main boss. So I said to the regional accountant, I said, look, do you think it's better off go to Middlesbrough than to Ardrossan? He went, yeah. So I spent so from that moment on, I left Ardrossan and spent 6 months in Middlesbrough. And that's where I got all the stories from for it. But it's an incredible story when you think, 22 years of age, or 24 I think he was at the time. And he'd been done for 2.4 million, six years in prison. What on earth makes you think you're going to get away with that? What on earth makes you think you're going to get away with that? It's incredible. It's incredible. An amazing story. Anyway, I've blown the cobwebs away. It's nice up here. Some nice views up here. I'm going to take a leisurely ride back down the mountain on the moped. And I know the weather. You've got horrific weather. I know that. The sun is beating here. The Kalima's kicked in. That's the reason why we can't see. But that's just rocketed the temperature up. And I knew the higher up I'd come, the hotter it'd be. And it really is a scorcher. So stay safe, wrap up warm, and I'll see you on the next one. All right. All the best, guys. Cheers.